We're back. That's right. A little bit late. No big deal, though. A lot has happened in the last couple of days for me not to do this video, but I guarantee you a lot of things are going to be answered, and this is not going to be one of those white pill videos of hope. Probably quite the opposite by the time it's over because there are so many things that I found out during this election that will, if you were in my shoes, pretty much guaranteed you would never vote again because of how much corruption and how many handshakes and hand jobs there are. But let's just get into it. A lot of things to talk about. First things first, I want to thank everybody that participated in my campaign, whether it's the people that door knocked with me or canvassed, that interviewed me, that worked the election, uh, people who just kind of motivated me and kind of kept me going down the campaign trail, even when it was 35 degrees out or 80 degrees out when I would first start in the morning, and I got this really nasty farmer's tan, or I dehydrated a bunch of times, or when I was getting hailed on or rained on. I think when the math was done, it was about 300 to 400 miles of walking. It was over 7,000 homes that we had canvassed, mostly me. It was 99% me, basically. And then there were a few people that helped me out on a few days with canvassing, and obviously the few people that came out from all over Indiana to help me out on election day, and I really appreciate that because at least I was able to get the marketing out. Because if you have ever run a campaign before or ever want to run a campaign, you need people. You really do need some people just to go out there. You don't even have to like talk to a whole bunch of people, but just getting the message out. And that was really I mean, there are a couple of reasons why I wanted to run. And first off, I wasn't even planning on running for state rep. There was really, it wasn't that there was nobody else, because there were a few people who were thinking about it, but I was the most motivated because I thought to myself, if there was any year that anybody would have a chance against Justin Moed, it would be this year. The guy does nothing basically. He'll come out once a year, usually during the election, and he'll just say, "Hey, here I am. How's it going?" Shake hands, talk to people for a second about what's going on inside the legislature. Like, because I've been there before, where he's like, "Oh, I have a free tree giveaway," which is not actually his. It's from the state. It's from DNR, but he pretends that it's his. Or he'll go to a meeting and say, "Oh yeah, summer session's happening. So if you have any questions, just reach out to me." Which, if you do reach out to him, he will not email you back. Spoiler alert! Surprise, surprise, right? And he'll just leave there after like 15 minutes. And I was trying to figure out why. Well, there's two neighborhood meetings on the same day, which is on like a Tuesday. And there's one in Drexel Gardens and there's one at Garfield Park. And I am a man of the people. If I'm going to go somewhere, I'm going to put my main focus on them, not try and split time and do this faux this fake act basically of pretending that you care. And, and in it was kind of funny though, because we'll talk about the interviews later, but like my message was pretty simple. It was property taxes, public safety, and infrastructure, the top three things that people talk about, and who I've talked to about. The abortion thing was really not on the list. The Mo weed wasn't really on the list, even though I had a website about it. It was genius, by the way. Um, and like the trans stuff, the gay marriage stuff was like it wasn't even in my wheelhouse. I didn't care about that because there are other people that would have done that that are actually still doing that. I wanted kitchen table issues, and not to to say like those things don't matter or the other things don't matter, because they do, but like I'm in a blue area, and it was a twofold. Second off, I would have never got any Democratic votes for that, and third, like it's really not. I kind of don't care. It's important, but I don't care. I want to take care of like the things that people have to deal with every day. When I talk to these seniors and like they're choking up while they're talking to me because they have like having an anxiety attack, or they're really worried that they're going to get kicked out of their home. Those are the people that I'm talking to every single day. And what's Justin Moed? What's his focus on? Some LGBTQ stuff, having random things shoved up his ass, and gooning over e-whores or porn star whores. Oh, what's that? Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, the eager slave Moet tweeted that he wanted Leathers to buy a strap-on to use on him, and then he wanted her to dress in a French maid's outfit and clean. Oh, then he was going to dress in a French maid's outfit and clean so this porn whore's house, and to be tied up in a closet and listen while Leathers got fucked by her boyfriend. That's the guy that District 97 voted for. Over 12 years in office, and what has he done? And I tried to show that to you during campaign videos that he hasn't done anything. One of his like claims to fame is some low barrier shelter thing. Guess what? It hasn't even been built. It hasn't even started to be built. It'll probably like a year or two out from it, if it will even happen too. And basically, what low barrier shelters is that for a lot of these places like Horizon House or Wheeler Mission, there are restrictions that you have for the homeless people do, or you can't do drugs, you can't really cause a ruckus. Well, these low barrier shelters, you can kind of do whatever you want, which is kind of crazy. So let's look at the numbers though while we're here. So these are not final. They have to be certified still. But it was basically, even if Mark was not there, the Libertarian, it still only would have been like 42%, give or take. So nothing that dramatic, which I thought was interesting. Once the numbers actually come out of the precincts, I'm going to have a better idea of what I might have done better, because I was trying to spread the word. Like John Schmitz, he ran in 2020, he ran in 2022, and it was basically the same of this, but like this was a very special year. Everybody's hurting, whether it's property taxes, gas, grocery, energy prices. And I thought for like once, maybe Democrats would pull their head out of their ass and be like, hey, you know what? Maybe baby killing isn't a good idea. Maybe cutting up children is not a good idea. Maybe showing porn to children is not a good idea. But apparently, places like Fletcher Place or Garfield Park, those are their main concerns. Not how much they have to pay in property taxes, not how much they have to pay in gas, not how much they have to pay in groceries, and etc. Nope, they're just going to focus on, they're just going to deal with the guy that sometimes or may not come up to a neighborhood meeting and then giggle when I talk about him writing up a bill for lowering a felony into a misdemeanor for child neglect. And while a woman in Florida left her kid alone for, what, 10 days and then starved to death, and there he is on his phone. Yeah, this actually happened, by the way, at the Bates Hendricks candidate quorum. I think that's what it was, or forum. And he was just there giggling, is from what I understand. I saw him on his phone, and somebody had talked to me a few days after that and told me that he was kind of giggling on his phone. But, I ran into a bunch of issues too with this campaign, and it's all started with HRCC. And if those of you don't know who that is, it is the House Republican Campaign Committee. They are basically the people that give out the money. And I tried contacting them very early and just never got an email back. Fortunately, there were some people from the Marion County GOP that gave me logins to their data website and their walk list too, but it's all wrong. That's the problem. It's not updated. There are people on there that show that they're Republicans, but they're actually Democrats. There are people that have that address still when you try to make up a mailing list, which I'll talk about that here in a second, and they moved, but they never updated it for some reason. And so I got a bunch of mailers back. So I never got a call back from or an email back from HRCC, which was a huge problem. But and those who don't know either, HRCC were the people that gave Julie McGuire, yes, the lieutenant governor that Mike Braun wanted, and who was the other one? The one who went up against Kurt Knisley. They gave both those people, I think it was like $1 million combined to primary out Kurt Knisley and John Jacob. So they can have their establishment people in the state house, because John Jacob and Kurt Knisley were doing things that were more conservative leading, and the party just didn't want that. So I actually started looking up something that was very funny. Where is it? So Danny Lopez, who ran against Josh Lowry, That HRCC gave him almost $170,000. And then the state committee gave him over $50,000, and even Holcomb gave him $35,000. Now Danny Lopez is works for the Pacers, and I am convinced he is a totally establishment. So everybody out there that voted for him, I mean, what was your other option? Some other guy that wanted to cut up children and have anytime abortions? Hey, I get it, I understand it, but at the same time, Danny Lopez sucks. So another thing that I thought was very funny too, though, was um, the person that Jesse Brown had propped up to run against Aaron Freeman. Now, total communist, obviously, but she got like $7,000 from the Indiana Senate. Indiana Democrat Senate caucus, she got $7,000. And I couldn't even get an email back from HRCC. How crazy is that? So, for anybody out there that are wanting to run for office, unless you are an establishment hack, you're really not going to get anywhere. If you want to run for like state house, definitely not going to happen. A good chance if you run for city council, they're not going to help you either. Your best bet is to run for school board, which if you're in Marion County, you won't win if you're a Republican, or township advisory board member, which if you're a Republican, good chance you're not going to win that either. So the other problem that I had, and I talked about this. If anybody out there followed my campaign Facebook, was one of the things that I had talked about is that I can't tell anybody or post it of where I am that day. And that's because there is a lobbyist named Allie Bartlett who works for Bose Public Affairs and was actually helping out my opponent, Justin Moed. Yes, I have proof. Yes, there is a video. I'll put it in the description. It's called "Is the GOP Sabotaging My Campaign?" And basically, she was helping him during the primary because they did not want a trans woman or trans man, a trans person in the state house. And since Justin Moed has been there for 12 years and he's really good friends with elected Republican precinct committeemen, they wanted to protect their interest. So what Justin Moed did was have Allie Bartlett, Victoria Wilburn, who's trying to weaponize the police against Republicans, Kerry Hamilton, and like two other people to go out and door knock for them. They were all in a group, and I was able to prove it. I even made a video about it, and I sent it out to Mirror Indy, and I sent it out to people that work for WIBC, and I never heard anything back. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, because this whole Bose public affair things, it's much bigger than all of you realize. And I know that some of you out there watching right now is like, of course everything's corrupt. But until you're actually in it, until you're behind the curtain and have your money and your time involved in a side of a campaign, you can't even realize like how pissed off you can get, realize how fucked everything is. So, after that, I even told um, I even told a few elected officials about what was happening, and what I was mostly surprised about was how okay everybody was with it. They're like, "Hey, you know what? She's a good person." And I heard this from multiple people too. It's like, "Oh, she's all right. She's a good friend." Blah blah blah. Hey, you know what, lobbyist? I even talked to a very high-ranking, soon-to-be a government official, and he was like, and not in Marion County, not in Marion County, statewide. Um, that has to do with this guy. I even talked to him, and not this guy, but and it was like, yeah, lobby. It's like, I can't believe Allie Bartlett was actively helping out a Democrat. It's like she should get kicked out of the party, because right there and then it is a Republican not in good standing, and you will automatically should get kicked out. They did it to people in Vanderburgh County. I think they were giving money to a libertarian, and I think they like made a snide comment about the GOP maybe, and they were kicked out of being a delegate that was going to vote for lieutenant governor and attorney general. So the other problem too is lobbyists are scum, like actual scum, and they have their fingers everywhere, and they really have no soul. So take for example this guy, Anthony Samuel. This guy gave Moed combined $750. So if you're ever wanting to buy a politician like Justin Moed for the small price of $250, you can buy a politician. So why is this guy kind of important? Well, because he works for Fox 59, I believe for part of Infocus, but most importantly, he is a lobbyist for several large wind developers. And I went to a meeting the other day and they were talking about solar farms and wind farms, and they brought up House Bill 1380. And I'm not going to get into the boring part about it, but guess who was co authored by it? Justin Moed. And why? Because he got money from Anthony Samuel. And I tell you what, Anthony Samuel has given a lot of money, not to just Democrats, but also Republicans. These people are chameleons. They do not give a shit about you as long as they get what they want. Very funny thing, too, that happened. Uh, Anthony Samuel also put on a Micah Beckwith uh, event that had Rob Kendall in there, which is even funnier because I remember seeing Rob Kendall at a Front Porch Patriots event, and he shook my hand and he goes, "Hey, yeah, we'll get you on the show." Never happened. And by the way, I'm not upset about that. If anybody out there, or if even Rob Kendall's out there, I'm not upset about that at all. I promise. I know that you have way more interesting people to go on there, and Justin Hammer went on this giant bitch fest last year about me giving a bunch of crap, me and a bunch of Annans giving a bunch of crap to the people on WIBC for not having any city council candidates on the show. Like, for all these people to bitch about Indianapolis and how bad Hogstead is and how bad the council is, they still will never have candidates on the show. So if you're going to bitch about Indy and you say, I wish we had good candidates, then have them on the show. And I'm talking about everybody on WIBC. But by the way, I'm not upset. I promise. I knew he was never going to be truthful about that, but he did say that he would vote for me, which is cool. Same thing with Casey Daniels. Allegedly, she voted for me. Can't confirm. Um, and if you're out there, Casey Daniels, the reason why I couldn't reach out to you at your home is because the voter list is wrong. It's not updated at all. Uh, and it appears that you rent too, so I really can't find you. Not that I'm being creeperish or anything. I went through like thousands of names for everybody to verify if they were a Republican or a Democrat, because during the primary, this is where things get kind of fun. During the primary, look at the number. Crap. Let's see, move myself real quick. There we go. If you look at the numbers, this has never happened before, where a Republican beat Moed in the would have beat him in the primary. If you even go back to 2022, you can see that John had 793, and then Moed had 1482, almost double. See, even the same back in 2020, over double, almost double. And in 2022, they redistricted, so you can't really rely on the 2020 numbers, which is kind of a shame, but it's fine. And he got a bunch of money from all these sleazy PACs too, but that's going to happen. So this is where I really thought that I had a chance. That was like the big reason, because this has never happened before. Uh, and it still got 60-40. That's why I'm really curious on the voter roll, or on the precincts, because there's a precinct over in like Hawthorne area that has new development, and they're getting ready to open up this apartment complex. So you're going to have a lot more people, because the problem with for Republicans is that apartment people who live in apartments tend to vote Democrat. It's because they don't care. They're usually miserable people, and they don't have any skin in the game, and they just want things for free. Hey, it's the truth. If you go to most apartment complexes, they're all crap. And they just say, hey, you know what? I want something for nothing. And that's their mindset, unfortunately. It's the truth, though. If someone can explain that any differently to me, I will listen to you. But apartment people who live in apartments, they tend to vote Democrat, and that's why. So this is what that I was looking into over the weekend. This was 2022. So I compared all everybody. These were the precincts. If you go into the voting election results on the Indy.gov website, you can look up the election results. For some reason, 2023 is not on there. I pretty much got all those numbers. But here's the issue. Carrasco and Brian Mears were basically like the main event for the election because Indianapolis is a shithole. It continues to be a shithole. We have a bunch of morons that are voting in Indianapolis who care more about weed and baby killing than actual public safety, and we will always get what these morons vote for because there are more morons than smart people in Indianapolis, unfortunately. So, even Carrasco would have gotten beat by Moed. These are all the numbers. Actually, you want to see something really funny? Diego did the worst. Like Carrasco got 3,800 votes, and Diego just got over 3,000. Like John Schmitz beat him. And these are Carrasco, Dan Elliott, Tara Klutz, Grabowski, who ran against Andre Carson, Schmitz, and then Diego Morales, and then here's Moed. So we know that in Wayne Township, it's basically like a winning township. We'll see what these numbers are, but in Center Township, it's so dense, and like, look how many people there compared to um, Wayne Township. Like, Roscoe got just over 2,000 votes in Wayne Township. Moed got 1,600. Not a big deal. In Center Township, though, see, there it is. Moed got 2,900, almost 3,000, or yeah, almost 3,000, and Carrasco only got 1,270. So Center Township is the problem, 100% the problem. I have things labeled in green on which precincts Carrasco beat Moed. Here's the weird part: District 9 or Precinct 97 had 70 people vote for Carrasco, but only 47 vote for John Schmitz. Why is that? I'm trying to figure that part out because this kind of happened in my primary. There were people that voted for Mike Young, but they didn't vote for me, and I'm expecting the same thing that will happen when the precinct numbers come out. And I'm trying to figure out why. Why would someone vote for for Carrasco but not John? Why would someone vote for Carrasco but not? I'm sorry, Schmitz had 57. Diego had 47. But even then, why would they vote for Carrasco but not Grabowski or Klutz or Elliott? Like normally, these people either don't like Mir. It's either they don't like Mears or they're just there to vote for Carrasco. They're one person voters, which I saw that during this year's election when people were going in there and I was giving them marketing and they're just like, I'm just here for the presidential election. Like, all right, cool. Well, thanks for coming out no matter what. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I gotta double check. There's no way this is right. There's no way this is right. I gotta double check that. Like, because there's no way 104 people voted for Carrasco and 135 people voted for Elliott. That doesn't make any sense. So yeah, that's a big problem too. And then another thing that I had an issue with was the lack of interviews. What I said. So nobody wanted to interview a lot of the candidates in Indianapolis. So Mirror Indy, which I said it from the very beginning, they're an activist publication. They have a bunch of people there from Indy Star, which Indy Star is shit, including Skinwalker Briggs, Caitlin Lang. They're the fucking worst. They didn't want to do any interviews unless it benefited Democrats, which is what Mirror Indy did. The only people that they interviewed were basically giving a platform for Democrats to beat most likely that Republicans were going to win. So like they had Jessica McCormick versus Mike Young. They had Shreve and whoever he was against. They had Katrina Owens and Aaron Freeman. And I think they had one more. And then they had Mitch Gore and Yvonne Metcalf. Now that was the only one that I thought was interesting because Mitch Gore was basically going to win. So there must have been some polling that came out where Mitch Gore was worried about it. which it is a winnable district, but the GOP just did not want to help out Yvonne. I don't even know how much Yvonne spent. Probably like basically nothing, and still got like 44%. I mean, you even look at Mark. Mark did not spend a single dollar, and he still got 429 votes. I spent like 5 grand and got 590. Um, Last time I did the math before these numbers were coming out, I was basically at like a buck 25 per vote, and Justin Moed was at like $5.50 a vote. So my dollar got stretched out more. I mean, Mark is the winner out of all of this. There's no doubt. But here's the thing about libertarians: they don't spend any money unless it's like a big election. So like the guy who Jeff Maurer ran against Diego and Destiny Wells obviously spent money. Rainwater obviously spent money. And then some people that ran for federal election, they spent a little bit of money, but this will be the average of what you're going to get for libertarians. There are a little bit of outliers, like Elizabeth Glass, where she got 11%, and that's because there were no Republicans. That district is kind of fucked. Kind of the same thing for District 99. I mean, basically, you were a libertarian. You're not going to get much more than that. Felipe Rios ran as a Republican, but I remember, I think it was in 22 or 20 that he ran as a Libertarian. So, Libertarians will only get a couple of percent averagely. So, Libertarians out there, hey, I was a better choice. Everybody even told me that I was a better choice. I even talked to some Libertarians that said, I hope that you win, obviously. Because if you even look at my Vote Smart thing where they give you the questionnaire is like, hey, where do you lean more? Are you hardcore left or right? And I was like leaning right, and I go, yeah, I am more center right, because I am more of a libertarian Republican, a paleoconservative, that kind of stuff, a Pat Buchanan Republican. Guy's based as fuck too. And here was another deal that I had a problem with: the mailers, which goes back to the HRCC. Because HRCC, they can give you a discount on postage. Because for a 4x6 mailer, it cost me 53 cents each. So I don't even know how many mailers are sent out. I thought it was 4,000. I think it was 4,000 mailers that I sent out. So I spent over $2,000 just on postage. Now, go tell that to a friend of yours. Say, hey, I'm thinking about running for office, but it's going to cost me, if I send out 4,000 mailers, and that price is only going up. It was like 53 or 54 cents. That you're going to have to spend in postage just $2,000. These things are not that much money. These things are rather cheap, but the postage is what kills you. That's why I needed HRCC, because they can give you a mass discount, because they do like a massive amount. They have the permit basically to get a deal on postage, but that means they would have to pay for it. I would give them money for it. I don't care. I would have given them the money so they could help me out. But unless you're part of the group, it's not going to happen. And from what I have heard, actually, it's not even what I heard. What I know is that if you want the party to help you, it will cost you $35,000. That is 100% verified truth. So if you want, and it doesn't, I don't even know if it's for as low as township advisory board member, but definitely city council, definitely state, definitely senator, state rep, definitely senator. Well, 100% if you're running for federal office, it's probably more like 100 grand. But 35,000 is the price of entry just to even get to a sniffle of the table. So basically, what I had done, I actually had two of them. I had that one, and I had that one, and obviously I had the message out there. And there's not a whole lot of room, so I was just trying to get them to the website. Oh, what's this guy all about? And I know it did not work as well as I thought it would, because I went to hard Democrats just as a maybe, and then I went to everybody up to basically hard Republican because the hard Republicans were going to vote for me. That's what they do. But the soft and the swing voters, those were the ones I was really curious about. And I did not get that many people coming to the website. So either they hated me or they liked me. I did have one person message me on my Facebook saying that my party is taking away women's reproductive rights. And this guy was married too. Hey, buddy, I'm sorry that your wife's boyfriend told her to get an abortion after he knocked her up. I forgot what the guy's name. I have a screenshot of it. Um, Maybe I should do the screenshot. Yeah, I'll put it on my Twitter tonight. I'll put it on my Twitter tonight. Um, so like I wanted to send out more of these, but I couldn't because I didn't want to spend that much money. So also if you notice the label on here too. So what I had to do was because I didn't have like a very good mailer list. So how they do it for the mailer list on the GOP data center is that you have to have Excel. Well, I don't have Excel. So I had to print it off of I had to do it off of a PDF, copy and paste all these, and then double check the zip code on all of that like 4,000 times. And then I had to go and put it on there. Well, here was a big problem. I got a bunch of them returned for some reason, and a lot of them so I got about 100, maybe a little bit more than that, 100 of them returned. Half of those were from apartments saying that they were vacant. I kind of expected that. And then the other half were from single family homes. Now, off of that half from single family homes, about half of those were rentals. And then the other half were people that were the name actually matched up with the property card. So I will be going on this journey of checking out the homes to see if people actually live there. So far, I've done 10 homes, and out of those 10 homes, 8 of them, someone lives there. There are cars in the driveway, and the lights are on, and you can see the TVs on too. So, what the fuck does that mean? I mean, for real, how is there a vacant home, but there's somebody living there? Are they just not checking the mail? I don't know. I thought that was very weird. So after all of that, after sending in the mailers, after talking to people, which that we have to talk about that too. So while canvassing, this is kind of like a lesson for all of you that are going to go canvassing. Since the list is wrong, the walk list is wrong that the GOP will give you. There are times where you're going to get yelled at by people. And I got yelled at by more people in Garfield Park than I did with all the other neighborhoods combined. That place is so freaking scummy. And it was mostly by the Rainbow Mafia, obviously. I mean, that place is. And then this was the weird part. They were talking, because I went to all of these neighborhood meetings, and one of the things that they talked about in the last Garfield Park meeting was about the homeless. And some lady was talking about how she did not call the cops on this homeless guy that was trying to break into her home. And you know why? It's because she's white and she feels like it's a white privilege thing. He's like, oh, I don't want to oppress this homeless guy who wants to break into my home and rob and rape me. But hey, I'm not going to call the cops on that guy. That's like this lady from Haiti that got raped by her tour guide, and then she was blaming white people for it. Same exact thing. These people are insane. Do not trust them. They'll always vote for the guy that wants to have random stuff shoved up his ass. That's how loony these people are. So, uh, other things that you have to watch out for are dogs. I got ran up by a bunch of dogs, and it was not fun. Mars Hill was the worst one out of them all. I got ran up by like 4 dogs. It was like a husky, 2 pit bull, um, mix, and I forgot what the other one was. I think it was like a Doberman Labrador maybe. I don't know, but they were big. They were easily 40, 50 pounds. And then I was walking down. I was finishing up that side. They didn't do anything. I just told them to knock it off, and they stopped following me. I was starting to go back that way, and I saw this giant mastiff, and I'm just like, nope. Nope, because I have baby knife with me, and I am not going to kill a dog today. It's not something that I want to have burned into my brain for the rest of my life. That I had to defend myself against a dog because the owners are crap. But man, I saw a bunch of dogs just kind of like chained up, and they couldn't really do anything. I saw this one pit bull over on the west side, and I tried giving him water, but he was an aggressive pit bull and did not want it. So, hey, I tried. There was also this guy, speaking of the west side, a guy on Lee Street. And since I could not, there were portions of a precinct that I couldn't verify if they were a Republican or a Democrat. So if I couldn't figure it out, I just put a door hanger on their doorknob if I could. And the on my way back, the guy was pacing back and forth on his front porch, and he goes, "Are you a Republican?" And I go, "Yep." He goes, then he just starts cussing me out, f bombing me, saying that I'm a maggot and Republicans are the worst thing that's ever happened. This guy's got frog eyes too, where they're like pointed in different directions and stuff. And I like looked around. I'm like, really? Because I see a bunch of fucked up homes that are a mess. I see roads that are completely jacked up because Democrats are doing such a bang up job in Indianapolis, aren't they? But go ahead and blame Republicans for why the roads aren't messed up. Hey, guess what? Maybe there's not enough DEI training happening in DPW to fix potholes. Am I right, my dude? So you will have to expect that. It is kind of annoying, but all I did was just laugh at the guy. I laughed at the guy when I was walking away because there's no point of interacting with these people or starting crap with them. It's not gonna accomplish anything. These people are loony. I have had it one time before where a Republican got mad at me. This was like last year. One of the first houses that I actually knocked the door on, and it was like hardcore Republican. And I wanted to say hi, and he goes, "Do you not?" He got all mad. And he's like, "Do you not see the no trespassing signs everywhere?" And I'm just like, "Actually, I don't." And then after he got done bitching me out, I like walked out, and obviously I walked away, and I'm like looking around, I'm like, I don't see any of that actually. So if you're gonna go door knocking, the no soliciting, the no trespassing, if there's a fence, I normally don't either. Um, because they just don't want anybody on their property. Normally, not a bad idea is just to put one on their door handle if they have one, and then move on, and hopefully they'll get the message. The mailers, I think, are really where it's at. But I just didn't have enough money for postage, and I knew I was going to lose anyway. But me running for office wasn't just about winning. I mean, obviously I wanted to, and everybody else wanted me to too. But it was about the vacant homes. That when I ran last year for city council, that was something that I didn't quite understand, and was like, why is there an address and it shows that it's vacant, but when I go over there, it's not vacant. And what I have found too is that there are a lot of these corporations that are snatching up homes and using them as short-term rentals, and they're just kind of collecting the mail if it gets too plumbed up. One I and that was something that I wanted to address if I had one, but places like Garfield Park, they do not care about that. I was even told they have like some economic development committee for their Garfield Park neighborhood, and I had brought that up. Hey, we know maybe we should put a restriction of how many homes corporations can buy, and they're like, no, 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 we don't want any restrictions. We don't want any rules like that. And I was like, okay, so Garfield Park is okay with these random corporations snatching up homes, buying them outright for higher than what they're listed for, artificially raising your value in your home, which means your property taxes are going up because these corporations are buying up homes. And Garfield Park is okay with that. Interesting. There's also people who are that okay with homeless people breaking inside their home and now calling the police on them. But that just shows what kind of people voters are, or what kind of voters you're dealing with. Is that it doesn't matter how bad things get, as long as they are so convinced if the city is literally on fire that it's better than voting for a Republican. And you're never going to convince those people. Those people are lost. Those people are part of the matrix. They're blue pilled. Uh, I mean, they'll vote for the masochist, which is Moed, which is why why they voted for him, because maybe they like butt stuff too. But on election day, I thought was really interesting. Obviously, thank you for everybody that went out there and helped. I finally figured out how to vote in Lucas Oil. So when the next election happens in 2 years, I'm going to make basically a how-to of how to get to Lucas Oil because you can park there for free. Hopefully they'll do it again next in 2 years. But I was trying to figure out how you do it, and I had somebody over there. I had people at other locations too, and they were telling me what was going on. I was getting kind of doomer pilled going to a few areas. The person that I had at Garfield Park, man, he's still angry about that. I just talked to him today. He's like, I am so pent up with aggression because of what I had to deal with, and in Garfield Park, because they're just awful people. And I said, hey, I understand that, which is why why you're working it because you're not going to take any shit from them. But he's like, I just don't understand why they're so mean and they're so catty and they just like don't care. They're just like, I'm going to vote blue no matter who. It doesn't matter how bad things get because we have to understand like things are never going to get better in Indianapolis. People are so tribalistic in their party. Republicans will vote for libertarians, but Democrats will only vote for Democrats. It does not matter. Like I have said this many, many times. Look, a candidate could literally sacrifice a baby on the steps of Monument Circle and they will still win. That is 100% the truth for a Democrat. They do not care. In fact, it's probably like they wouldn't even have to do mailers. They'd probably win just then. Be like, hey, yeah, that's our guy. And one of the other problems too, which we're once the numbers come out, and I'll post it on my Twitter, is how bad Hawthorne is because basically that'll put the final nail in the coffin for District 97. Moed will always win unless you try and primary him out. He'll only get more complacent and show up to instead of maybe seeing him once or twice a year, you will never see him. You maybe you'll get like or maybe he'll just do a drive by. Who knows? And yeah, you guys are kind of screwed. And like I showed here before, like Wayne Township is going to be blue, obviously. I'm really interested on what happens in the next 2 years because a lot of these illegals basically they were able to get a driver's license, and from what I understood from people who work the polls, there are a lot of questionable things that were happening where people couldn't speak English and they had to have a translator for them, and then they were able to vote. Like, how the hell is that possible? Or people were bringing their kids that are like, their kids are all jacked up, like the lights are on but nobody's home, and they were basically grabbing their hand and like pointing it. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna make these selections for you, which I don't think is allowed. Or they were grabbing their hand and like pressing the people that they wanted on there so they could put the just to get more votes for him, which I kind of saw that when I worked the polls in 22, where the mom, I remember this one couple, this one Asian or these one Asian people, a mom and her daughter, they were like basically side by side for voting, and the mom was like, all right, vote for that person, okay, vote for that person, and then they wanted me to take a picture of them. It's like first time voter, and I was like, all right, cool. And this is when I was naive on like how the whole thing was. I remember seeing this white chick bring in this black dude, and she was just yelling at him. It's like, you're gonna vote for this person. He's like, okay. Like it looked like he was just there for a good time. He's like, all right, baby, I'll vote for whoever you want to, but I'm expecting some sugar after this. But that's just how it is. Hamilton County is getting bluer, which is kind of funny when I said I've been saying this for a long time, and now people are finally starting to wake up to it. Like Hamilton County is going to be blue. Johnson County is getting there. We're already seeing more homeless people and more crime that are leaking from Indianapolis to the outside counties. So that'll be interesting. But There was one thing that was very disturbing that I found out today, and this is we're going to talk about the future. So Mike Braun obviously won, and his transition team got named the other day, and so a part of his transition team is Victor Smith. Now, Victor Smith is one of the head guys over at McKinney and Evans. Remember that? Did I say Bose McKinney Evans. If you remember, Thomas Cook, the alleged sexual predator that was the right hand man of Joe Hogsett, worked there, and allegedly was able to get a bunch of city contracts because of Thomas Cook and his relationship with a bunch of people. I kind of expect that those charges will be dropped. I haven't heard anything in a while. I thought they were supposed to have a meeting this month. Maybe it's next month. But here's another thing too. So also the Bose people. Remember Allie Bartlett? She also works there. She's a partner or a principal over there. That was the whole Justin Mowat thing. Matt Bell, who's a founding partner of Catalyst Public Affairs. This was kind of funny because Hannah Smith, uh, she apparently she used to work at Catalyst, and I'm actually finding out more and more people worked at Catalyst. The deputy campaign person for the Shreve, what he was running for mayor last year. There was this woman that was on there, but now she worked at Catalyst as well, and now she's working at some energy lobby firm, which was even here. Actually, I'll just show you. This is super funny. Okay, so Savannah Kirsteins, I actually met her last year. Very nice lady, but guess what? They're all very nice to you. So she used to work at Catalyst Group as a communications helper, and then now she's with Reliable Energy. And look who's with the whole team now. Uh, is Shreve with his former deputy campaign manager, who's now working for Reliable Energy. That's just how this whole thing works. These are all handshakes and handjobs. They're all floating from the left to the right. These lobbyist firms, you have to remember, they do not care about left versus right. They are there to collect money. Lobbyists are like the scum of the scum. They can never be trusted. That's why I thought it was so interesting when I got a partial PC list and I was looking up these people and I found a bunch of them that are lobbyists, which means they're all compromised. But Bose McKinney Evans is probably one of the worst about it. So the transition team is going to get very interesting too because it's going to get very scummy. That is my feeling, is that it's going to get very bad. And these were the cat. So this woman, Hannah Smith, was the communications person for Catalyst Public Affairs, and then she left there, and she was working for the Destiny Wells campaign. But she was also a communication person for the Democrat Party in Indiana, which I was like, that's a red flag right there. But all these other people, Anne Hathaway is on there, Jim Bopp, which we all knew. These people for Hoosiers for Quality Education, they're a lobby, obviously. And then just all these, the usual people. And then they also had like some people that worked for the gambling commission. And if you guys are following any of that, there are like a former state rep, I think, that was federally charged uh, for embezzlement or something. I know I'm wrong on that. It was something like that. I don't know how many. I think I got like 10 years, maybe 8 years, some crap like that. But you have to be careful with all that stuff, obviously, because otherwise you're gonna get caught up in it. So just to put a bow on this whole thing, and like you're probably all wondering too, is like, what about you? What's your future? what are you gonna do? I was getting that question a lot. Like, dude, I just want to lick my wounds right now and spend a little time by myself and just collect all of my thoughts and really do some little thinking. Needed a little bit of time to think because thought that I would at least do better. That's the part that I got pissed off about the most. I really thought that people were going to be smart enough to realize, hey, I got 12 years of the same thing with no bills, hardly any bills getting done. He's never around in the neighborhood meetings. He won't email me back. He won't call me back. A lot of people are telling me that they're disappointed in him, along with McCormick. And it was like, I'm running on the right platform. You'd think that the kitchen tables would matter the most. Come to find out, people are stupid. Shocker, right? Voters in Indianapolis are completely freaking stupid. And there's nothing, you can't fix that. You know, it doesn't matter how things are just getting worse in Indianapolis, and you would think that people would change their voting habits, but they don't. So, what does my future look like? Well, we're going to wait until March because John Schmitz had announced the other day that he's going to be running for county chair, which I really want him to win because the Marion County GOP is basically lackluster. They're complacent, they don't care, and that needs to change. Otherwise, I have another direction that I am not going to talk about. Actually, I have like multiple directions that I could go to after that. Where there's going to be a lot of meetings and talking to people of trying to figure something out if Don doesn't win the county chair position, which I'm relatively worried about. I'm because there's so many compromised people in the party, and they just want things to be that way they are. They don't want outsiders, and this is everybody out there. You have to understand when, especially with the lobbyists don't care if you're left or right. They only care about getting money. Because what happens is these companies will say, I want this, I want a bill, I want this to happen. They will go to the law firms, and then those law firms have a lobbyist firm, and then those lobbyist firm will write up a bill, and they'll say, all right, who can we get to push this bill? And it's like, well, we gave this elected official a certain amount of money, and we know that they're higher up. All right, let's see. And they all collect money from us. So let's try and get like a group of them. Let's get them to author it. Let's get people to co author it. Let's get them to co sponsor it. And then maybe we can get this bill pushed for this mega corporation that paid a lot of money to these law firms to write this bill up so you can have your elected official push this bill because they got a bunch of money from the lobbyist firm, from the PAC, the Political Action Committee, which is a lobbyist firm, basically. And that's how it works. And from what I can see is that nobody cares about that. They are so focused on left versus right, which there is a lot to be said about that, um, because we know that people are just they don't care. They care more about cutting up children and baby killing and showing porn to children than they care about the roads or property taxes, which is really weird because you would a intelligent person would think, hey, this whole thing affects my pocketbook because if I'm writing, imagine you're a single mom and you blow out a tire because the roads are crap. Now you can't pay a certain bill because you have to pay for a tire or a tow truck, and then it just starts cascading after that. But for some reason, Democrat voters do not care about that, and I literally cannot wrap my head around that. It just blows my mind. One would think that after X amount of years of Indianapolis being a joke of Indiana, whenever I tell people where I live and they say, oh, really? How's things going over there? Or I'm sorry, or are you safe over where you are? And basically just the laughing stock of Indiana that we have been for years, especially since 2020. You have over 8,000 people that have left Indianapolis and have flocked to the outer suburbs, to the outer counties because they feel much safer out there. Their roads are better, and you would think that people in Indianapolis would figure that out. It's like, no, all the smart people with money are leaving Indianapolis. Now we have all these dumb people that are going to vote against their interest, and they just want handouts. They don't care about the roads. They don't care about public safety. They don't care about taxes. All there is like money. I want money. And these people have no problem paying more taxes. And these are the idiots that I'm having to deal with every single day over in Indianapolis. Like, they're just not smart. They're dumb. And, at some point, I'm glad that we're not that big of an area and not that many people. And hopefully, the south end of Indianapolis will hold the line against these psychotic maniacs that are ruining the rest of Indianapolis. But I will also tell you something. The GOP needs to pick their shit up, especially in Marion County, because my theory is that Eli Lilly is getting ready to leave Marion County and move to Boone County. That's why they have that multi-billion-dollar deal going on in Lebanon, and they're trying to steal water from another county. Why Eli Lilly is moving, wants to move to Boone County and leave Marion County. Sure, they'll leave Marion County with a few scraps, but there have been multiple businesses that have left Indianapolis. Rolls Royce is one of them. It's why the Wayne Township Fire Department was probably going to have to get absorbed by IFD, because that's a big amount of taxes right there. I'm gonna have to make a list of all the major businesses that have left Indianapolis. I'm sure a lot of small ones have failed, especially after 2020, or they moved, or maybe they're like, hey, you know what? We're gonna be closer to Greenwood. Sure, you're Indianapolis, but we're actually trying to focus on the Greenwood residents, because nobody from, especially on the east side. What the hell has the east side done? But so basically, that's where I'm at with everything. It's still a lot of questions. This year will be very interesting, especially the first quarter of the year. So if any of you Republicans out there are watching this right now, I'm keeping an eye on all of you, because now I'm starting to figure out who I can and can't trust. If a certain group endorses you, I know that I probably can't trust you. If a certain group gives you money, probably a good chance that I can't trust you, because I know you're not going to return it because you're wanting handshakes and hand jobs. Basically, every elected official has some kind of questionable donation or some questionable endorsement. And those are the things that I'm looking at. And basically, if the Libertarian Party wanted, they could have Indianapolis turn full blue if they wanted. I am basically convinced on that, because I've talked to some people on how they would do it. So be careful. Not that I would help them or anything, because they are way left leaning. I'd prefer to see how that turns out. Now that the Libertarian Party, is basically defunct because of the whole rainwater situation. We'll see what happens, though. So that's all I got. If you're still watching this, their city council committee meetings are happening this week. I'll do those videos. Also, Diego Morales is allegedly in some kind of trouble, and it is right now. It is 7:52 on Monday night. Tomorrow, in less than 24 hours, I will be doing a live stream, and we're going to be looking at all of Diego's campaign reports, because I started going through them today, and there are a lot of questionable things that we need to be asking. And but the thing that he is in trouble for, not I don't think they're gonna. I think it's a big nothing bird, personally. Maybe I'm wrong, but who could say? So, till next time.